Welcome to Gentle Business Live. We're going to be here for 2 hours together. So when you come to the concept of what we're talking about tonight, you might think, okay, gentle business sounds lovely, sounds really nice, sounds really calming, sounds really like something I might want to have. However, there may also be a part of you, and certainly a part of lots of other people, who think, okay, gentle business, it's something to aim for, but it would never happen for me. Maybe it sounds too twee. Maybe it sounds like you've got to be so lovely and positive and happy all the time if you're being gentle and kind. And for me, that is the essence of what this learning is about around gentle business. For me, gentle business, there isn't one definition. There's never been one definition. It is always about finding the ebb and flow of how we live and work and how we can run our business so that we're much more in alignment with who we really are. Because if we're pushing and shoving and stressed and holding on tight and not allowing things to happen, even when they might be quite difficult, equally, if we don't care about stuff that we might need to be caring about, we're not going to be in a particularly gentle way of flowing and letting things happen in our business.
The 20 years that I've worked in this marketing, really changing marketing landscape, it's gone from being a real kind of mass media led place to the kind of social democratization of social media that's happened because of social media. And because of that, content has become such a currency. And in my head, with my marketing agency head on, there's just so much crap online, if I'm honest. Like, it's clogged up the internet, and I think there is just so much space for people to create really compelling content, and it's a really easy way that you can stand out. I guess the bit that I want to share that I think is relevant, because whatever anybody on this call is going through, and everybody has their own stories, everybody has their own shit, even just the world around us right now is tough enough, is that I kind of chose to make a bit of a decision. I thought, I am either going to lose my shit and I'm going to keep on going but lose my shit, or I need to radically reinvent my life. And I'm not really a stranger to doing that, and this is partly an ADHD quality, I'm going to say. You don't really see risks or limits, you know. It felt really good, and my husband was really supportive, and he was like, I think we should move away for a little bit, let's do something different. So we did walk away from the business at a massive financial cost. I mean, in the tens and tens of thousands. Wow. We took the kids out of school, we rented our house out, and I think 3 days after my last chemo session, we moved to Barcelona. We had loads of friends, so we already had a lot of good friends there, and took a family sabbatical, if you like. And particularly in the context of everything we're going through now, there's sadness and the anxiety. I think you have to have hopes. You've got to be looking for those sunbeams, right, through the rain. And for us, that feels like getting our house renovated and taking the kids. We want to do some community projects in South America. We've basically got a bit of a family wish list, and we're going to spend the next 12 months hopefully making that happen. And I'm sharing this because I've had so many conversations with people recently in the last few weeks who said, like, how do you get that balance? You know, my partner might not be able to go back to their job. How could we set something up so that we can do that? I want to take my kids, or we want to go and just travel more, have a camper van. And I'm finding I'm getting a lot more of those questions at the moment than I am like business kind of related questions or marketing. It's like people are really like, okay, what's next for me and my family once this is over? What do we want? And that is really exciting, because I think when people get to that point where they're really asking themselves what their truth is, not just what they should be doing or where their passion or their skills are, but who they are as people and how they can grow into that, then, it gives me goosebumps.
I am the inspirer-in-chief of the Inspiration Space, and I work with entrepreneurial women, you know. They have their own businesses, and they all share this common energy of really wanting to step into their power and create something phenomenal. And oftentimes people just need that little push to get them to step into the flames, and that's what I'm there to do.
What? Why does it have to be flames?
because it's a phoenix, you know, like, you know, if like when like hearing Ruthie speak, it really spoke to my experiences, because I'm another one of those people that just takes big leaps, you know. And I think of life kind of in the same way as the life cycle of the phoenix. You go from a light to a spark to a flame, and then you break through as opposed to burning out, and then you get to start again. In this roundabout way, when I got to that moment when I decided to create the inspiration space, the thing that I had pictured was a school, right? It was a school. It was a school for women, and it was a place where you could learn sound entrepreneurial skills, you'd have community, you'd have connections, and strong pastoral care. Because the art of building a business means you really have to get in touch with your vulnerabilities. My energy levels surprisingly are actually better now with COVID, because I'm not in person with people, because I feel I take on a lot of people's physical energy, and because I can kind of manage a room of 50 single-handedly.
I know you can.
Right? Like I can take on a lot of energy. So this is actually, Zoom is it's a filter. I kind of like it.
So I'm the CEO, and I've changed the E in traditional chief executive to chief empowerment officer of my company, which is called Clementine. And basically we help women who are feeling, well, who are busy, who are feeling anxious or stressed or tired or overwhelmed or all of those things, or just one of those things. And we help them to feel calm and to feel confident. And I suppose in a way, the big thing is to change their mindsets from feeling, when you're having those feelings, you often feel like you can't do things. And that could be as big as not wanting to get out of bed, or it could be as small as, you know, well, they're not big or small, it's just things you do, like perhaps not putting your hand up in a meeting, or perhaps not calling that client that you should call back, but you don't. We just help shift mindsets from feeling like you can't to feeling like you can. I'm sure many of the women here know what this is like. You build your life around your finances and all that, your lifestyle. Yeah. And so trying to unpick yourself from that is also quite tricky. You know, we're in the darkest time, but we're also in the best times.
Right.
People want to feel connected. They want to feel like they're part of something. And so if you can create that in your business and be clear about your purpose, your why, I don't think you can go wrong, really.
We are in such an interesting time where the old way is crumbling at our feet, and we could really step in and just say, no, we've got this. We'll rebuild it. Like, we'll rebuild it. Like, you know, because we've now seen that, hey, it turns out we don't need to fly so much, you know, like one of the things that I'm really starting to question is the role that formal education will play in like my kids' lives going forward, and what I value in that, like what I want them to learn, you know, like in a lot of ways, we've really been going back to like our instincts in our house. And I really like the simplicity around the way that we're living. And I think that will really ring true. I don't see a world where anyone's going to rush back to the old way. And you can see in China, they're not. We have to make sure that we rebuild via community and not as individuals, because what the ecosystem won't support are a lot of individual voices shouting. And so I think that the way we build our businesses, how we grow our businesses, is going to have to be a lot more collaborative. And that will then require us to focus.
Partnerships, collaboration, forget about paid media. We'll probably do a bit of that, but like partnerships, collaboration, that's how we're going to build and grow.
Rest is just massively undervalued. And I think at a time like this, when everybody's contracting, you know, you're not at a point of acceptance with everything that's going on. People might be having awful losses and situations and be worried about vulnerable people in their families and their communities. I think it is that, you know, for some people who are able to enjoy this period, for some people who are able to go straight into a period of reflection and look back inside at themselves and figure out what's important. And some people are just going to be way off that stage yet, and that's fine. You know, everybody's kind of working it through in their own pace. And I would say, you know, totally agree with Liana, like if you need to take a rest, take a rest. I just took 2 months off social media, not just because of what's been going on, but it was partly like I was consuming too much. When I consume, I can't create. And out of that rest period, if you like, of just not looking on my phone, giving myself to, you know, homeschooling and still doing my work, of course, but I really was able to figure out that I wanted to go less in terms of the business side of what I was doing, and I want to become more of a writer and a voice and just create more. And having that break gave me the mental capacity to be able to reflect. So if you're not at that point yet, take a rest, and that point will come, I think, you know.
I wrote a blog about it. I had to force myself like to take a forced break, literally, like as in do nothing. So we keep talking a lot about, the word comes up often, do. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. Do. This is not a period for doing.
Got 5 minutes left as a panel. Can you believe it? Sarah has asked, have you found this space created by COVID allows you to let go of comparison? There you go. Sort of similar.
No. I definitely have moments now where I feel the fear more than I ever have done. And it's just because everything is a lot more noisy. My mind's noisier. The internet is noisier. My house is noisier. Like everything is noisier. And the things that I used to do to kind of take the pressure off, like going like to the gym or whatever, I can't do as easily. So there's like what some days feels like this insurmountable like obstacle in my way.
But I've just felt a lot more fuck it. And I felt a lot more like, I'm going to use my channels not to talk about what I do, because the more I talk about what I do, the more I'm putting myself in the same lane as everybody else. I'm just going to completely change the way I communicate, and I'm going to talk to people like I do in my real life. I'm going to share stories about my childhood, my crazy dad, my this, my that, and the other. And
there's this thing that Beyonce says where we're quoting Beyonce all over this tonight. Where she's like, you kind of like, you know, you basically embrace the feeling and you allow yourself to feel it wholly, and then you move on from there. And I think that's kind of, maybe it's in the nature of how up and down it is, where it's just like sometimes all you can do is really just embrace, I guess, what's almost like that ugly truth about how you're feeling, and be really accepting of it. Be like, it's okay.
Making writing my main thing, less marketing. And I want to write a memoir, not in the next 4 weeks. And this is a personal creative project for my kids, because I had really eccentric, crazy parents that are no longer here. And I've just finally, after years, dug out all these big memory boxes. Both my parents have died, both my grandparents. So I've got boxes after box after box of mementos. And I want to somehow curate my family's stories into something that's meaningful that I can pass on, and also weave in my own story. So it's a completely personal passion project, and I really want to kind of be talking about that stuff every day. I want to really learn to be a better writer.
Oh, I think I'm gonna have to go with fuck it, you know.